Welcome to WrestleTalk News. I'm Sat E Niangi, and yes, it is Sat E Day! On today's news...
No, you can't use that. It's got writing on it.
No, I need my notes! Subscribe to Cutscene. Cutscene, whoever you are, you're ruining it for everyone! Ah! Another Saturday day, another story of Vince getting away way too close to WWE's creative. According to Fightful Select, McMahon was backstage at SmackDown last night and spent the day in his usual office set up backstage. That is until Triple H and Nick Khan super kick party the door and they bit him and Larry was there. Wait. No, sorry. Brought that flashback. While there was no strap, according to Fightful Select, there was, in fact, rumors of Trips and Khan undergoing some kind of creative intervention with Vince regarding his increasing involvement with WWE creative, specifically those last-minute script rewrites he loves so much. In the meeting, Triple H and Khan were rumored to be asking Vince to step back or stand back from making these last changes, with the initial plan reportedly to stage the meeting back at June 26 Raw. However, this did not happen. Longtime sources of Fightful had heard of the meeting but confirmed that it had not yet happened, with talent claiming a meeting of this form would usually occur during the week. According to Fightful, despite the murmurings, no such meeting in fact occurred or is planned, with a WWE higher-up dismissing it as silly. However, Fightful does also note that the same WWE higher-ups also denied Vince would return to creative, so worth noting. The report says that if this kind of intervention were to in fact happen, due to Vince's position of power, a meeting could only be a recommendation, and they indeed cannot force Vince out of anywhere. He can essentially do as he pleases. Yippee! But will McMahon too have his mitts on SummerSlam, which despite still under just a month away, may already have its full card set in stone for August 5th. According again to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the following 8 matches are all but guaranteed for Detroit's Ford Field. Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez. Ricochet versus Logan Paul, Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler, Gunther versus Drew McIntyre, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, Asuka versus Charlotte Flair versus Bianca Belair, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar, and Becky Lynch versus my childhood crush, Trish Stratus. I only recently confessed to my partner that Trish Stratus is my childhood crush.
Yeah, childhood. Mm-hmm. Definitely childhood.
My evergreen crush, well, you know what, F that, you know. Unless WWE wants to adopt that Tony Khan philosophy and create another 8 matches for the card, there is a concern of many top names missing out. Most glaringly absent, of course, Seth Rollins, Judgment Day, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, Edge, and LA Knight, yeah! The latter of which couldn't even make it on SmackDown despite being the company's 3rd highest merch seller of June, behind only Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Fightful Select notes that Knight was in a dark match segment for SmackDown where he beat up Hit Row. Yippee! Michael Cole liked that segment. I don't like that segment because I didn't see it. It's dark. I don't want darkness. While one would expect many of them to find a way... What? I can't even read that. Sweat dripping in my eyes. And I'm sweaty. I'm sweating. While one would expect many of them to find a way on the card, Meltzer notes that Triple H does prefer to keep his PLE cards on the shorter side. So there is currently a lot of competition to get on the card. Meltzer also notes that similarly to Money in the Bank, that saw numerous top matches take place on the SmackDown before Money in the Bank. A similar strategy could be employed again, potentially moving matches right before or right after August 5th, potentially even at the last minute. What other matches would you like to book for SummerSlam? Let us know in the comments below. I'm Sat in Niangi, I'm sweating all over the place. Next up, we've got the Tribal Pete. I've missed Pete, I haven't seen him in a while. I'm gonna kiss him on the forehead, but off camera, because some of you guys are a bit weird like that. See you guys.
It's time for my AEW Rampage 1 minute, 1 take, where I will attempt to recount everything that happened on last night's episode of Rampage in 1 minute and in 1 take. Start the timer. The Dark Order got a shock win over the Young Bucks following interference from Konosuke Takeshita and Claudio Castagnoli. The Young Bucks were saved from a post-match beatdown by Kenny Omega, who ran down with a steel chair. Harley Cameron still thinks she and Anthony Bowens would make a great couple. Didn't you get the memo last time, Harley? He's gay. And Johnny TV said he didn't like the Acclaim's music, boo, etc. Sammy Guevara and Danny Garcia proceeded in the blind tag tournament and won with a blind tag. That's nice, actually. And Matt Hardy refused to use Jeff's guitar. Jeff Jarrett et al. Jumped Matt Hardy after the match. It's actually too fast today. And Ethan Page made the save because he's a babyface now. Hikaru Shida beat Marina Shafir, Chris Statlander setting things backstage, and Brian Cage and Big Bill beat Trent and Matt Sydal to advance in the blind tag tournament with a fun finish, and that was Rampage, baby. I did it, I think. It's probably about a minute, right? And now it's time, after what feels like many, many months, it's time for my review of SmackDown. In about 5 minutes. Short version, Bloodline stuff good, everything else unimportant. Wow, things really haven't changed, have they? The show started with the tribal court of Roman Reigns, following the Usos pinning him at Money in the Bank. While this was advertised as the tribal court, it didn't really feel like it. There was no table in the ring, it wasn't set up differently, it just looked like any other in-ring segment. I get why they didn't use a table with what followed, but even so, it did make this one feel slightly inferior to the trail of Sami Zayn from the off. Despite that though, this was a home run segment. The Usos came out initially, but were interrupted by Paul Heyman. The Usos told Paul to shut up, but Paul said there's only one man in WWE who can tell him to stop talking before Solo Sikoa puts his hand over Heyman's mic and throws it away. I love the ways that WWE are sowing the seeds between Roman and Solo through visual storytelling. Plenty more of that to come shortly. Roman then enters and the Usos say they're not going to be manipulated by Roman this time and present a video package highlighting Roman's manipulation and abuse of everyone in the bloodline over its entire tenure, including Jay, Jimmy, Solo, and even Heyman. We revisited such classics as, "Isn't that right, Jimmy? I'm Jay. Does it really matter?" Which is still one of my favorite lines in the entire Bloodline saga. Roman's acting after this point was absolutely sublime. He looked like he couldn't accept the evidence in front of him, shaking his head and saying, "That's not me," which was enhanced massively by the crowd chanting bullshit back at him, which he responded to saying that this isn't him, this is what he was forced to be. Do you think he wanted to do this? Do you think he wanted to accept all this extra responsibility? He's got 5 kids at home. Do you really think he wanted to add everyone else's kids too? He did this for Jay, he did this for Jimmy, he did this for Solo. He doesn't need money anymore. He doesn't need power. He was a main eventer before the Bloodline. He doesn't need the Bloodline needs him. He then looks defeated and says he doesn't need this anymore. He's done. He throws the title to the side, he takes off his lei and places it over Jay before kneeling in front of him, tears streaming down his face, which got a well-deserved holy shit chant from the crowd. But of course, it's Roman, so he low-blowed Jay, leading to an extended brawl between basically everyone. But there were some crucial parts to this. Solo picked up the lei that had now fallen off Jay and contemplated it, but before he could hand it back to Roman, Jay attacked them both again. Roman and Solo made Jay watch as they brutalized Jimmy, attacking him with the title belt, steel steps, and Solo splashing him through the announcer's table, the spot that he missed at Money in the Bank. Jimmy was then stretchered out with Jay joining him in the ambulance, and that was the tribal court. Do I think it was as good as the trial of Sami Zayn? No, not really. The brawl was a little bit overlong and dragged slightly as well, but when the bar is as high as it is for Bloodline segments, it's okay to just have a 4.5-star segment instead of a 5-star one. This was still excellent and set up Jay versus Roman at SummerSlam nicely. And that's the last we'll see of the Bloodline on this show. So what else was on this episode? Not much that was important, really. Austin Theory beat Sheamus to retain his United States title in a decent match following some pretty deadly interference. Edge was a guest on the Grayson Waller effect, where Grayson Waller said that Edge was retiring, and Edge said, "Lol, no I'm not." And then he said he's having a match with him tonight. AJ Styles beat Karrion Kross in about a minute before we got the infamous "switching gears now" line from Michael Cole. And this is where I think it became apparent that some segments, not naming names, Bloodline, overran slightly. Maybe. The Cross Styles match was genuinely about a minute long, and then we next got a recap of Asuka's feud with Charlotte and Bianca and Io Sky winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, and then Asuka came out, said no one was ready for Asuka, then Bianca came out, they brawled, then out came Charlotte and they brawled, and then out came Io Sky and Bayley and they all brawled, and then they teased a cash-in which didn't happen, and that was that, and that all genuinely took about a minute. It was insanely fast-paced, and not in a good way. It all felt very, very rushed. We then got a recap of the men's Money in the Bank match, and then it was time for Edge versus Grayson Waller, which started off quite boring, got okay by the end, and Edge won after countering Grayson's rolling stunner into a spear. Michael Cole also name-dropped Christian, which was weird. This match was clearly trying to get Waller over in defeat, and I don't think he looked bad, necessarily, but Grayson throughout the match was yelling at Edge about sink or swim, and after Edge won, he said to Grayson that he swam, which he kind of did, but also not really. It felt a little disingenuous and forced. And that was the show. Wait, no, sorry. Paul Heyman's backstage and informs Roman that Jay is back in the building and he's looking for him, and Reigns says he'll be in the ring for him. And then Roman asks the crowd to acknowledge him again after doing it earlier, and then Jay comes out through the crowd and he brawls with them, attacks Solo with a chair, and calls out Roman for a one-on-one match. The segment wasn't bad, it was good actually, but I'm not sure why this needed to happen this week. This very much felt like next week's segment done 1 week early, which could be a good thing if they've already got stuff lined up for all the weeks between now and SummerSlam. I just worry that they're blowing their load early and then we're going to have filler weeks between now and the PLE. This was a weirdly paced show, and as usual, Bloodline stuff was great, everything else felt meaningless. Anything that wasn't Bloodline felt very rushed, and it makes it look so much worse by comparison. This was a low 4 out of 5 show, because despite everything, the Tribal Court segment was still amazing. Now go and check out the latest episode of Survival Series, where we've got special guest Sean Ross Sapp, and we have to try and name every United States champion in reverse chronological order. Here's a clip.
Oh no!
Oh no!
What is this? I flew all the way over here for this. I can't just let you all take me out that easy.